My fiancée drunkenly told her friends at my promotion dinner I was going to dump him last week, but now that he makes $280, I guess I'll stick around. I tap danced on the glass to get everyone's attention. Then I broke up with her in front of my boss and colleagues. The hangover she felt the next morning when she realized she fumbled the bag. I'm 29, software engineer at a tech startup in Austin. Been there 4 years, working my way up from junior developer to senior architect. The company just got acquired by a major corporation, and they offered me a director position with a massive salary bump. My fiancée Lauren is 27, works in social media marketing. We'd been together 2 years, engaged for 6 months. Relationship seemed solid on the surface, but looking back, there were definitely red flags I ignored because I was focused on my career. The promotion came through on a Wednesday. My boss called me into his office and laid out the new role. Director of Engineering Solutions, base salary $280K plus equity and bonuses that could push it over $350K annually. Biggest jump of my career, and honestly, life-changing money. I was over the moon. Called Lauren immediately to share the news. Her reaction was weird though. She seemed happy, but kept asking specific questions about salary numbers and when the raise would kick in. Should have been a warning sign, but I was too excited to notice. That evening, Lauren suggested we celebrate with a nice dinner. Said we should invite my work colleagues and some of her friends to make it a proper party. I thought it was sweet that she wanted to celebrate my success with everyone important to us. We booked a private dining room at this upscale steakhouse downtown for Friday night. Lauren handled the invitations and planning while I focused on wrapping up projects before transitioning to my new role. She seemed really invested in making it a special evening. The guest list was about 20 people, my boss and 3 other colleagues from work, Lauren's college roommates who I'd met a few times, her work friends from the marketing agency, my younger brother and his girlfriend. Pretty standard celebration crowd. Lauren spent Thursday shopping for a new dress and getting her hair done. She was more excited about this dinner than our actual engagement party, which should have been another red flag. But again, I was caught up in the career high and didn't read between the lines. Friday arrived and I was nervous about having my boss at a social dinner. These work-life balance situations can be tricky, especially when you're about to start managing a team. Wanted to make a good impression and show I could handle the increased responsibility. We got to the restaurant early to make sure everything was set up properly. Lauren looked amazing in this black cocktail dress and was chatting with the waitstaff about wine selections. She seemed more animated than usual, almost like she was performing for an audience. Guests started arriving around 7:30. My boss showed up first, which I appreciated. We talked about the new role and his expectations for my first quarter. The conversation was going well, and I felt confident about the transition. Lauren's friends arrived in a group and immediately started the party atmosphere. They were loud and already tipsy from pre-gaming at someone's apartment. Not exactly the vibe I was hoping for with my boss present, but I tried to roll with it. The dinner itself was fantastic. Great food, good conversation, everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. My boss was telling stories about the startup's early days, and my colleagues were relaxed and funny outside the office environment. Lauren was drinking heavily though. More than usual for her, and definitely more than appropriate for a work function. I tried to subtly suggest she slow down, but she brushed me off, saying it was a celebration and she wanted to have fun. By dessert, she was pretty drunk, laughing too loud at everything, making inappropriate comments, and getting touchy-feely in front of my professional contacts. I was starting to get embarrassed, but didn't want to cause a scene. That's when her college roommate, Ashley, asked about our wedding plans. Lauren launched into this whole speech about how everything was going to be different now that I was making real money. How we could afford a better venue and a longer honeymoon and all these upgrades she'd been dreaming about. The conversation was making me uncomfortable because she was talking about my salary increase like it was her personal windfall. My boss looked amused, but I could tell he was taking notes about my fiancé's attitude toward money and success. Then Lauren's work friend Madison made some comment about Lauren being lucky to lock down a tech guy before he got rich. That's when Lauren said something that changed everything forever. She giggled and said, "Actually, I was going to dump him last week because things were getting boring. But now that he's making $280K, I guess I'll stick around for a while longer." The table went dead silent. Everyone stared at Lauren, who seemed oblivious to what she'd just revealed. My boss raised his eyebrows and exchanged looks with my colleagues. Ashley and Madison looked mortified that their friend had just said something so brutal. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. She was going to dump me, but decided to stay because of my promotion. Our entire relationship was apparently a financial calculation for her. The engagement ring, the wedding plans, our supposed future together, all of it was fake. Lauren realized something was wrong when she saw everyone's faces. She tried to laugh it off, saying she was just joking and didn't mean anything by it. But the damage was done. Everyone at that table now knew how she really felt about our relationship. I excused myself to the bathroom to process what had just happened. Stood in front of the mirror, trying to figure out my next move. I could pretend nothing happened and deal with this privately later. Or I could address it right there in front of everyone who'd witnessed her confession. The more I thought about it, the more angry I became. She'd humiliated me in front of my boss and colleagues, made me look like a fool who was being used for money. If she wanted to air our relationship business in public, then we could finish it in public too. I walked back to the table where conversation had resumed, but the energy was completely different. Everyone was being extra polite and avoiding eye contact with me. Lauren was still drinking and seemed to think the moment had passed. I picked up my wine glass and tapped it with my knife to get everyone's attention. The table quieted down as people turned to look at me expectantly. Lauren smiled, thinking I was going to make some romantic toast about our future. Instead, I looked directly at her and said, "Lauren, since you've decided to share your true feelings about our relationship with everyone here, I think it's only fair that I share mine." Her smile faltered as she realized this wasn't going the direction she expected. The rest of the table was watching with fascination and horror as they sensed what was coming next. I continued, "You just told everyone that you were planning to dump me until you found out about my salary increase. That our engagement is apparently a business decision based on my income rather than any feelings you have for me as a person." Lauren started shaking her head, trying to interrupt, but I wasn't finished. The alcohol had loosened her tongue, but it was also making it hard for her to form coherent arguments. "Since you've made it clear that you're only with me for financial reasons, I think it's best we end this relationship now. Consider our engagement canceled effective immediately." I held out my hand. "I'll need the engagement ring back." She stared at me in shock, like she couldn't process what was happening, then slowly slipped the ring off her finger and handed it to me. The reaction around the table was intense. My boss looked impressed that I'd handled the situation decisively. My colleagues seemed supportive, if a bit uncomfortable, about witnessing such a personal moment. Lauren's friends looked mortified that their night out had turned into a public breakup. Lauren started crying and begging me to reconsider. Said she was drunk and didn't mean what she'd said about dumping me, that she loved me and wanted to marry me regardless of money. But it was too late. She'd revealed her true priorities, and there was no taking it back. I stood up and announced to the table that I was leaving, but encouraged everyone else to stay and enjoy the rest of the evening on me. Told the waiter to put everything on my tab and that Lauren could find her own way home. My boss actually walked me out to the parking lot. Said he was sorry about what happened, but impressed with how I'd handled such a difficult situation. That the decisiveness and leadership I'd shown tonight confirmed he'd made the right choice, promoting me. The next morning, my phone was full of texts from Lauren begging me to talk. She'd apparently sobered up and realized what she'd lost. A stable relationship with someone who had good career prospects and was genuinely committed to building a life together. She showed up at my apartment around noon, looking terrible. Hungover, crying mess, apologizing for everything, and promising it would never happen again. Said she'd been stressed about wedding planning and drank too much and didn't mean any of it. But I was done. Her drunken confession had revealed how she really saw our relationship as a financial opportunity rather than a partnership between equals. I couldn't marry someone who was only with me for money and would leave when something better came along. I told her to come back the next day with friends to get her stuff, changed the locks, and had everything packed for her in boxes. Made it clear that this decision was final and she needed to move on with her life. The aftermath was interesting to watch unfold. Lauren's friends who witnessed the dinner started distancing themselves from her. Apparently, several of them had suspected she was shallow and opportunistic, but seeing it displayed so publicly was too much. Ashley actually reached out to apologize for not warning me about Lauren's true character. Said they'd had conversations where Lauren complained about dating guys who weren't financially successful enough. That she'd specifically targeted tech workers because of earning potential. My work colleagues were incredibly supportive. My boss made sure word didn't spread beyond the people who were there that night. Said everyone understood that personal drama happens and it wouldn't affect my professional standing. The new job has been amazing. The salary increase allowed me to buy a house and start investing seriously. I also started dating someone new who has her own successful career and doesn't see me as a walking ATM. Lauren tried reaching out for months afterward. Through social media, through mutual friends, even showed up at my office once. The receptionist called me, and I had to come down and tell her to leave. She finally got the message that I wasn't interested in reconciling. She's apparently struggling financially since losing access to my income. Had to move back in with roommates and scale back her lifestyle significantly. Posted some bitter stuff on Instagram about gold diggers before realizing the irony and deleting it. 6 months later, I heard she was dating some other tech worker she met on a dating app. Ashley told me she was back to the same pattern of evaluating guys based on their career prospects and salary potential. Some people never learn. Meanwhile, I'm in a serious relationship with someone who actually loves me for who I am, not what I earn. Sarah has her own money and her own goals. She supported me when I was between jobs last year and never once made me feel like my worth was tied to my paycheck. Looking back, I should have seen the signs with Lauren. The way she talked about other couples' financial situations. Her interest in expensive restaurants and vacations that she expected me to pay for. The subtle pressure to upgrade engagement rings and wedding venues. But sometimes people show you exactly who they are when they think you're not paying attention. Lauren got drunk and revealed that our entire relationship was conditional on my earning potential. At least I found out before the wedding instead of after. The promotion dinner breakup became legendary among my friend group. People still bring it up as an example of perfect timing and execution. Even my colleagues said it showed good judgment under pressure. Some people think I was too harsh ending things so publicly. But she made the choice to discuss our private relationship in front of my professional contacts. Fair is fair. If she wanted privacy, she should have kept her mouth shut. The best part is knowing I dodged a bullet. Marriage to someone who saw me as a financial plan rather than a life partner would have been miserable. Better to find out their true character before making legal commitments. Life lesson learned. Pay attention to how people talk about money and success. If they're more interested in your bank account than your personality, that's all you need to know about their priorities. I'm much happier now with someone who chooses me regardless of external circumstances. Real love doesn't come with financial conditions or backup plans. Find someone who would stick around even if you lost everything tomorrow. Update. For those asking about wedding planning expenses and deposits, Lauren had paid for most arrangements herself, since she insisted on handling everything. She lost her deposits when vendors wouldn't refund after the cancellation. I was only out a few hundred for things we'd split. Also, Lauren apparently told people I broke up with her because I was intimidated by strong women who speak their minds. The revisionist history is hilarious, considering she literally said she was only staying for my money. But whatever helps her sleep at night. My new relationship is going great. Sarah and I are taking our time building something real, based on mutual respect and shared values. We're talking about moving in together, but no rush since we're building this the right way. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. All you have to do is give people enough rope to hang themselves with. Lauren chose to reveal her true character in the worst possible setting and face the natural consequences.